So proceedings got underway in the absence of defense lawyer Thulani Mngomezulu, who again fell ill, with lead investigator Brigadier Bongani Gininda maintaining that there were intruders inside the house on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed, and that the first police responders to the crime scene and neighbors corroborate that.
Thank you. Now, what is your comment?
My Lord, it confirms what I've said earlier, that as I was trying to, right at the beginning, when I was trying to establish as to whether there were intruders or none at the preliminary stage of the analysis of this docket, this is one of the aspects that I looked at, and that is the first responding officers being informed that there was a shooting in progress, and the suspects, in his container statement, ran towards that direction, which is basically the park. So for me, the fact that the first reporting, the first responders, police officers, were informed clearly that the people who were involved in that shooting ran to a certain direction. It's a clear indication that there were people who were involved and they ran to a certain direction, and they were not found on that day, my Lord. And this, my Lord, as I've said, is in addition to the neighbors, the witnesses who witnessed people running out of that house after the shooting. So taking that information, which was disposed in the form of a statement, I couldn't ignore the fact that the only inclination or direction is that indeed there were intruders, because this is independent from the people who were inside the house, who were then questionable at that stage that perhaps were they telling the truth or not. These are independent people. These are police officers who were in duty, who simply responded to the crime scene, my Lord, and this is what they were informed. They documented what they were informed. They had no reason to mislead. And the neighbors and the people who also indicated that they saw people running to a certain direction, they were not part of the people who were inside the house. Those were simply eyewitnesses and neighbors who simply indicated what they observed, my Lord.
In addition to accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi's alibi not checking out, that he was at work on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed, Gininda told the court that Ntanzi, on his own volition, had mentioned the date that Meyiwa was killed after he told him that he suspected him of involvement in the killing, and that it was later Ntanzi's confession that shed more light on who was allegedly involved, implicating all the other accused before court and the alleged initiator. And that is what changed the course of their investigations.
When I was walking away, my Lord, I just don't remember which of the two members called me to say he wants to speak to me. This is now accused 2. My Lord, when I returned, what he then said amounted to what led to the arrangement of the confession that was taken by Lieutenant Colonel Rapado. And he was cautioned, my Lord, in terms of his constitutional rights. I've dealt with this thing. I just don't want to bad in the record by repeating the same thing, my Lord. But I did caution him in terms of his constitutional rights when he made a confession, because in essence, he admitted that he was involved. He implicated accused number 1, 3, 4, and 5. Further mentioning my recollection, my Lord, Mrs. Kelly Kumalo as the trigger point or the person who hired them to kill the deceased. I further recall the vehicle, the mention of a VW Polo being mentioned, my Lord, by accused number 2 as the vehicle that was used during the commission of this offense. I further recall, my Lord, that he mentioned that accused 3 was the one with the dreadlocks, and that is the person who fired the shot that killed the deceased. He further placed the role, my Lord, of each accused.
And those roles, according to Ntanzi's confession, accused number 1, Muzi Sibia, would wait outside. Ntanzi and accused number 3, Carlos Mtobisi Mncube, would go inside the house. Accused number 4, Mthokoziseni Mapisa, would also watch outside and be back up, and accused number 5, Fisokuhle Ntuli, would drive. Gininda continues on the stand. Criselda Lewis, SABC News, at the High Court in Pretoria.